and welcome to my kitchen, and today we're going to concentrate on some Thanksgiving sides. The first thing that we're going to do is a traditional Colonial Williamsburg inspired spoon bread. We first had this recipe when we visited Colonial Williamsburg about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Yeah, and we positively fell in love. We had the opportunity to eat at a historically correct tavern, and everyone, the servers were all in traditional costume, and the menu was traditional to the time. The colonial era, and it was fabulous. They came around to your table with these great big skillets full of spoon bread, and they asked you if you'd like some, and they would just scoop it out and put it on your plate. This stuff is amazingly delicious and would make a wonderful accompaniment to your Thanksgiving meal. Today we're going to be eating it for breakfast because I want to share it with you in plenty of time so you can maybe consider making this for Thanksgiving. So let's see how we're going to make it. Okay, what you're going to want to do to start is have a shallow baking dish. The original recipe calls for a shallow baking dish, and I have buttered it extremely well. Don't get in there and really get in there with that little pat of butter and rub your hands in there and get that covered. This is a hands-on deal, okay? So I want you to get your hands in there. I don't want you to kind of whisper the butter over the thing. I want you to get your hands in there, and I want you to really butter it up. And then what you're going to start with is 1.5 cups of water, 2 cups of buttermilk, 1.5 cups of cornmeal, a tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. And there's salt in there. You can see it. It's just covered over by the sugar. There it is. 2 tablespoons of butter, 5 eggs, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Now, we're going to move over to the stove and we're going to start preparing this. To get started, we're going to add the water. This is going to spurt, so. And the milk, and we're going to bring it to a simmer. And I'm using buttermilk, but you don't have to. You can just use regular milk. It doesn't matter. We're going to bring this to a slow simmer, and then we're going to add some of the other ingredients. So when this comes to a simmer, which might not take very long, I'm going to go ahead and stir it and see what happens here. It might just take a moment. Oh, it's not going to be long. I had my pan on and we were adjusting the lighting, so that kind of helps that my pan was hot. Now, spoon bread is a very, very colonial kind of thing if you're not familiar with it. The reason I equate spoon bread with Virginia is just because that's the first place I ever had it. And, you know, we went on a trip and we went to Colonial Williamsburg, and we were fortunate enough to be able to go have supper at one of the taverns in Williamsburg. And it was it was a colonial tavern. And it was an amazing experience because it was like a complete theme, like you were completely immersed. There it goes. I'm going to go ahead and add my cornmeal in the colonial experience.
Oh, my favorite part was the Old Dominion beer.
Which we can't find anywhere else.
Really, really good.
It was very good. But this was one of the first experiences that we had the opportunity to take the girls out for a uber fancy. It was a several course meal kind of deal here. I'm going to add the sugar and the salt in here as well. And you're supposed to cook this over medium heat until it becomes thickened. You're also supposed to add the butter, so I'll add the butter in here as well. And you can use white or yellow cornmeal, it doesn't matter. But I'm saying that this experience was fantastic. You got to order off of a colonial themed menu, and it was the first time Micah ever had filet mignon, and she was hooked. What can I say? My kids got good taste. And it was just fantastic. And Rick and I had, we tried every thing that we could possibly try on the menu that was offered to us. That's where we fell in love with corn relish and this spoon bread, which they come around to your table and they ask you if you'd like some with your meal, and they scoop it out of these great big cast iron skillets that they have baked it in, and it's just wonderful. And you can make yours in a cast iron skillet too.
That's what we're doing, right?
No, we're making it in a casserole dish.
Oh, that's right.
Because I buttered a casserole dish. And this is already starting to thicken up a bit. And once it thickens up sufficiently, we're going to move over to the counter and we're going to beat those eggs and the baking powder together until they're fluffy and foamy.
Well, that right there would make a good breakfast cereal. Hot breakfast cereal.
Of course, right here what you've basically made is grits. Well, this is cornmeal mush, technically, because we've used cornmeal and not grits. Grits are a little coarser ground than the cornmeal. You don't want to use grits to make spoon bread. I mean, in a pinch you probably could, but what you're basically making here is polenta. Cornmeal mush, you know, and you would serve this with, you know, in colonial days they would either have this with cane syrup or molasses, or if you were British you would have it with treacle, you know. It's nice and thick. And I'm going to turn off the heat, and then we're going to go back over to the counter, and we're going to proceed with the remainder of the recipe. Now this is just going to cool for a moment while we beat those eggs, because we don't want this to be boiling hot when we put the eggs in here, otherwise we'll have a scrambled egg mess that we do not want. Okay, so off with the heat, off of the burner. And this looks wonderful. If you were going to make polenta at this point, you would just let it cool, and I'm going to have to show you how to do that sometime, because polenta is a fabulous thing to have. I would leave the sugar out if I was going to serve this with a main course, but we're having it for breakfast this morning. So we're going to leave this unto itself, and we're going to go over to the counter, and we're going to go on and deal with the eggs. Okay, now we've got to deal with our 5 eggs, and I'm just going to break them into this large mixing bowl.
I'm living life on the edge.
I'm living life on the edge of the bowl. That's funny.
Oh yeah, but
it's all good, okay? I've never in my life gotten a bad egg.
And our eggs are too fresh to have that happen.
That's very true. We buy very, very fresh eggs. Okay, eggs, baking powder, mixer. Christiana Campbell did not have the benefit of an electric mixer. She did this by hand with an old-fashioned egg beater. But we're going to mix these until they're light and fluffy and ever so slightly foamy.
So we get to cheat.
We get to cheat. Okay, now I want you to observe what this looks like now, because it looks like almost a yellowy meringue kind of mixture, and that is exactly how you want it to look. You don't want it to be thick and heavy, you want it to be light and fluffy. So that is how it should look, absolutely.
Your arm would have fell off if you have to do that by hand.
Well, hers probably did, because if she really did have a tavern, and there is historical information to back up that she actually did, then you know what? The truth of the matter is, dare I say it, Christiana Campbell probably had a little help in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. quite a bit.
Yeah. Probably the politically incorrect kind of help. But that's our history, and we can't deny it, and the bottom line is if we try, it's wrong, okay? We have to remember our history, and we have to learn from it. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add this in here, okay? And I know that my hand is always getting in the way, so... But we're going to get this in here and stir, 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 because you don't want those eggs to cook if this mixture is ever so slightly too hot, and it shouldn't be. It should be fine. Get this mixed in there with all the goodness of the cornmeal mixture that we cooked off earlier.
Can you do the beaters real quick?
We can actually put the beaters back on, because I just had them in that dish with the
Buttermilk.
that. Good call, honey.
Now they're getting along.
Here they are. You have to beat them into submission. You're going to like each other, damn it. Okay. You can just keep stirring if you like. It's not a big deal. But since we have the mixer available to us, I think we should go ahead and use it. And this looks exactly how it should. Everything is mixed up very well together. Now, let's bring over that baking dish. Okay, now I have to turn the pot, so because I can't get my hands in there. Get it all out. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Just give this a little pat on the top and kind of even it out. Beautiful. Now, it does. And what this is really going to do is going to souffle. You've got a lot of eggs in there. This is going to rise up. It's going to get a crust on the top and on the bottom. That's why we're using a glass baking dish or a cast iron skillet. It's going to just kind of be this wonderful souffle. It's going to have this wonderful crust all around the outside. And when it comes out of the oven, you're going to see it's going to get really puffy and then it's going to fall back. So you're going to want to serve it immediately. This is fabulous for breakfast as a side dish. You serve this with like a beef stew or a slow roasted ragu or some sausages, and it's going to be lovely. So into the oven. Let me put the light on. There we go. Okay, so this is going in the oven, and it's going to bake for 45 to 50 minutes. And there we go, right in there. When it's time to come out, we'll be back. Okay, it's been 50 minutes and it's time to pull this out of the oven. There we go. Beautiful. And what you want to do is you want to serve this right away. So I'm going to grab a plate. I'm going to grab my butter and a spoon. Okay, so this is like a souffle, really. And you can see there's a lovely little crust on the bottom and on the top. Oh, that looks beautiful. Beautiful, all eggy.
And corny.
And corny. Oh, it smells delicious. This is just going to be a real treat. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to set up and we're going to put some butter on this. And And then we're going to talk a little bit about this dish. Okay, now what you want to do is you're going to want to just put a little butter on top if you desire. And then you're going to give it a little taste. Oh. Serve it when it's hot. Of course, the leftovers, nobody's going to complain, but it's always best when it's right out of the oven. Oh. Oh, my Lord. Honey, open thy mouth. Oh. It's just like the perfect combination of cornbread and custard. You're going to love this. This would make an excellent addition to your Thanksgiving table. This makes an excellent addition to any weeknight meal or morning breakfast. I mean, throw this together on a Sunday morning and have it with some sausages or some bacon. It's a lovely thing to add to your breakfast buffet if you're going to serve guests. Oh, I need another bite. Oh, Christiana Campbell, thank you so much for the inspiration and for your hard work all those many years ago. You know, if we had never gone to Williamsburg, I probably never would have tried spoon bread, and I would never have known how delicious it is. Now I can make it at home, and Micah, who is not out of bed yet, is going to be oh so happy when she gets out of it, because this is like her ultimately favorite thing in the whole world. So, spoon bread, consider it for your Thanksgiving table or anytime. I hope you try it, I hope you love it, and until next time, I'll see ya.